our very lovely sponsors for our awards to really have a quick briefing about the next steps. I'm going to hand over to Mel and Sophie in a minute, who's going to talk to you about what's the next plan of actions, but just letting you know that this is going to be recorded, so hopefully that's not going to cause too much problem. Mel's done a sterling job again in administrating the awards, and she'll give you a quick update on that. And we've also got Tan and Simon and Sarah from our awards committee who are going to give you some top tips in the very difficult decision of actually choosing the winners from your categories. So I'm going to hand over to Mel and Sophie, who's going to take this forwards.
Thanks, Sally, and morning, everybody. Oh, lunchtime, afternoon, just everybody. And thank you so much for taking the time once again to come along to our briefing today. We're just going to, as Sally said, give you some information on what happens next for sponsors, some of the things that we'd like you to do, and give you an update on where we are with everything. So without further ado, as you know, the entries closed at midnight on Friday, and we're delighted to say that we've had more entries this year than we've ever had, even higher than pre-pandemic levels, which is absolutely brilliant. So thank you all sponsors for your support with spreading the word, sharing information about your category and encouraging people to enter. So we're really pleased about that. That includes 74 individual current or recent apprentices, which is absolutely brilliant to have the opportunity to kind of celebrate the achievements of all that number of apprentices. We would have been 75 if we could have entered Sophie, but we felt that given she's on the organising committee of the event, it might have been a little bit of a conflict of interest. But we've got 74 amazing. That doesn't include the fantastic careers leaders, training providers and businesses as well. So brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Some are eligible for more than one category as well, so actually numbers are much higher than that as well. So a huge thank you to everybody. That picture there is from our very first Apprenticeship Awards in 2017, which some of you were at as well. And just to say, we've come such a long way since then. It's fantastic to be in this situation where we've got a fantastic awards ceremony waiting in a couple of months' time and so many wonderful people to be celebrated. So what happens next? So this is to give you an idea of the timelines and the dates that we've got coming up. So what will happen is you now as category sponsors will have the very difficult job, or very enjoyable job, of choosing your finalists for the awards. We will be ratifying that through a committee meeting on the 18th of April, and then the finalists will be announced on the 20th of April. So our next real comms milestone in terms of what everybody is waiting to find out will be letting the finalists know on the 20th of April. So give you a bit more information about what happens between now and then, but we will be doing sort of a big splash at that point to celebrate the finalists. And then we have the ceremony itself on the 18th of May, which will be at the Williams Formula One Conference Centre, as we had our celebration event there last year. In terms of category sponsors, there's quite a lot of information for you at this briefing today. I haven't yet sent you your entries because I thought it would be better to have this briefing first, just so that you know what's going to happen. But after this briefing is over this afternoon, I will be sending across the entries for your categories. And you will also receive some judging paperwork to support you. So that's some judging forms and meeting forms that you can use to help you with the process and the scoring. What we would ask is that you speak to as many entrants as you can. You should have about 5 to 6 weeks for this process. Many of them.
Well, I think.
Oh, sorry. Somebody. I'm not talking then. So yeah, if you can meet as many people as possible, that would be really helpful. I think some people are better at putting information in forms than others. Speak to them. Often things will shine through that don't come through on paper. So we'd encourage you to speak to or meet virtually or face to face as many as you can. We ask you to let us know by the 31st of March what your decision is. So that will be 2 highly commended, 1 winner and a reserve. So we ask for a reserve just in case something happens, somebody happens to not be eligible, or we discover something, there's always somebody there as your reserve by the 31st of March. Then apprentice categories, we will ask you to give some feedback to our headline sponsor, Jack of Story Experts Banbury, JDU Banbury. I think we've got Martin and Keith here today, just to help them with their decision about who's going to be the overall Apprentice of the Year. Again, we support you with that. And then, as we said, the judging meeting, the announcements, and then the awards ceremony. So there'll be a busy few weeks now coming up for you category sponsors. Is that okay for everyone so far? We'll have a chance to ask any questions a bit later if you have any. So a few notes on judging before I hand you over to Sarah and Tan. So we will provide you with the forms for recording your notes and your scoring. They list the criteria that we're looking for to help you with the judging. So try and stick as much as you can to the criteria that are specific for your category. So obviously everybody's going to be amazing. It's trying to narrow that down as closely as possible. And as we said, speak to people, find out about them. When you're contacting apprentices, if you could please copy in their employer as well, just to make them aware that you are in touch. And also if they do need to spend a bit of time out of work speaking with you or meeting with you, just so they're aware of that, there could be a commitment in terms of their time. And please, please, please do give us a shout if you're struggling. If you've got lots of entries and your time is pressured, we can support you. We're here to help you every step of the way and answer any questions. So anything you have, there's no such thing as a silly question. We can help, and Sophie and I can support you if you need a little bit of support with any of that stuff, and also Sarah and Tan. This is the forms that you'll receive, just to give you an idea of what they look like. So they give you a scoring system and a place to write notes so that you can come together and have that as a guide to help you with making your decision. The scoring perhaps helps you to narrow that down when you're making difficult decisions between entrants. Once you have made your decisions and you've let us know your final choices for your finalists, we can contact them for you once you've made the decision. Obviously, again, there's quite a lot of admin around that and letting people know. And what we really want to make sure is that everybody knows before the announcements are made publicly who has and hasn't made the final. Some sponsors like to contact the people that have got through because it's a really nice thing to be able to do. Also, some like to contact those that haven't been successful and just reassure them that actually their entry was great, and that they should be encouraged to enter again perhaps next year, or not to be put off from entering. It's obviously a very competitive process, so we can talk to you about that nearer the time, but we just need to make sure that everybody is informed and knows the outcomes. We also prepare a certificate for the apprentices who don't get through. It's a massive achievement to have been one of those 74 that have been put forward, and what we don't want them feeling is that they in some way haven't been as successful, or just because they haven't made that final three. So we will also provide them with that, so they have some recognition they can use for their portfolio or share with employers. So we will do that, and we will also follow up with employers, with apprentices, to see if they're interested in being part of a case study or being an ambassador for apprenticeships with us, so that we can use their stories and the value that they bring, and make sure they still feel valued and part of our kind of our movement of apprentices here in Oxfordshire. So we will be making sure that they have that opportunity as well. Okay, so could I now, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and ask Sarah and Tan if you're happy to share some of your experiences and introduce yourselves and give some top tips for our sponsors this morning.
Yeah, of course. Tan, do you want to go first?
Yeah. So I've sort of been where you are with the awards, and when you get a big pile of paper come through of applications, trying to sort of work out who's sort of worth interviewing face to face, the initial sift, it's quite overwhelming. But I can't stress enough how important it is to actually go out and interview somebody face to face. If you can do that, you get so much more information out of them. You also get to generally meet their line manager, and you get an awful lot of information out of them. It's okay doing it on the telephone, but I feel that you don't get, the passion doesn't come across quite as well as when you meet somebody. What I did, because I think, how many did I have? I think I probably had 12 or 13 applications. I went through and did an initial sift, which is, to be honest, you'll be able to do that fairly quickly. And then if it came down to, if I had one that maybe I wasn't sure about, I would phone them and then decide whether or not I was going to go and meet with them. But I would certainly want to, meet with sort of maybe up to 5 people, just to just to get a real sort of feel for who they are and what they've achieved. And I think during COVID, that was a lot tougher, but now it's sort of open again. That's really good to do. And as I say, if you can arrange to meet with them and their line manager, you do get a real feel for that person. Sarah, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, first of all, I'd just echo what you said, really, in that meeting the apprentices is really important. Again, I've been in the same position many times over. And you quite often find that when people put their applications in, some people will have more support than others, so they might have had help writing it and they might come across really well, and then when you meet them in person, you find out actually that's not necessarily them or their own words or how they necessarily feel, or the exact opposite. You might have somebody who's not as literate or not as able to express themselves on paper, but you meet them in person and they're just phenomenal. So absolutely meet as many as you have the opportunity to, or as many as you can. Likewise, when you've met somebody in person, it establishes a relationship. So on the night when you go up on stage, or you're there with your finalist and your winner, it's a lot more meaningful for both parties if you already know them or recognize each other to a point. Writing notes when you meet them, I found incredibly important, because afterwards, when you're reflecting, it's incredibly difficult. These awards in particular, you're judging young people who are all doing fantastic in their careers. That's why they've been put forward. They're doing amazing things. They're overcoming hurdles personally and professionally. And it's so difficult to actually sit down and say, this person's better than this person, but just to have those notes to support you and to help you write anything that you want to give feedback on afterwards. And then the only other thing I'd say is be mindful of putting in your own criteria. It's very easy for people who are in a specific industry or job role to put your own criteria into the award. But if you're going to do that, first of all, make sure it's consistent throughout the judging process. But second of all, remember that those people haven't always had an opportunity to prepare for the criteria that you might be looking for. So just be very mindful if you're going to put anything additional in there. I think that's it, really.
I was going to say one other thing. The forms that the LEP give you are really, really useful, and the marking bits and the the points that you can give across to people, they're really, really useful. Make sure you use them, because as I say, when you go back and you reflect on all of them, those bits can be, when you come to making your final decision, can be they can sort of tip one person over the edge a little bit. Sarah and I last year helped one of the sponsors make a decision, and I have to say, sometimes it's really, really hard, because you have some fantastic applicants, and to make that final decision on who is the winner, because you feel so much pressure on you, because it's really, really important to them as well. So make sure you use the marking system, make sure you use your notes, and make sure you go out and see them. They are my three biggest bits of advice. And Sarah and I are here that if any of you have come down to two and you don't know what to do, we're more than happy to have a phone call, Teams call, and run through it with you, and help you, support you in making that decision, whatever your final decision will be. So just give us a shout, we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been doing this since about 2017 now, so we're well versed in the applications and trying to sift our way through. So yeah, please do reach out if you'd like an extra pair of eyes or an opinion.
Thank you both. And yeah, just to reiterate, both Dark and Taylor and High Spec Composites have been headline sponsors, been on the committee since 2017. So any aspect of it, both Sarah and Tan are absolutely expert in, and I will share their email addresses with you at the end, but also with the slides.
One last thing I just want to tack on there is anybody who's been involved in interviewing for awards before, this took me by surprise, but being mindful that they are quite young, like I say, in age, but also in their careers a lot of the time. So going in very formally and asking very formal questions and expecting direct answers doesn't necessarily get very far, but just remembering that you're dealing with somebody, like I say, that might be very nervous. It might be their first time being interviewed for an award. They might not recognise their own value or their own worth. It might be somebody else that's recognised it and put them forward. So just again, bearing in mind who you might be dealing with when you structure your questions or you ask them about their careers. That's the only last thing that I'd add, I think.
Oh, I just thought about something else. When I went out to see somebody, it was actually, it was really, really useful to see where they worked. and actually get an idea of the environment they're in, you know, and again what support they have. One of the girls that I went to see, she was an engineer, and she actually physically showed me what sort of project she was working on and the machinery and all that sort of thing, and I actually found that really useful as well. So try and do the interviews at their place of work as well, because that's actually really important.
Thank you, Tan. Thanks, Sarah, and thank you, Tan. And yeah, and I think probably the same is true for sponsors of categories such as the Careers Champion and the Training Provider Individual. These are all people who are quite unsung heroes, who have usually been nominated kind of almost not against their will, but, you know, by others who see their value. So it's a really good advice, whether you're interviewing employers, training providers and careers leaders, as well as apprentices. So thank you both. That's really helpful. And hopefully you get some top tips, but please do contact us if you're struggling at any point during the process, everybody. I'm just going to get the slides back up again now. I'm going to hand over to Sophie, who's just going to talk you through some of the other things that sorry, just get back to where there we go. Get back to where we were. Has everybody got that? Should be able to see that coming up.
Yeah, we can see it, Mel.
Yeah, good. Okay,
Thank
right,
you.
over to you, Sophie. Thank you.
Thank you. So on the 18th of May is when the awards will be held. The start time will be 6:30 p.m. With a hope to finish by 9:30. And as Mel mentioned in previous slides, it will be held again at Williams F1 Conference Centre. Sponsors will be invited to attend from 6 o'clock. This is to have any photo opportunities before everybody else arrives, and for a briefing of events from throughout the evening. So you guys will be asked to announce your 3 finalists and then the winner and highly commended. And we do ask that you let us know who is presenting, so that when we're getting together the structure for the evening, we know who we're inviting up on the stage. And you will be sent your ticket, the link for booking your tickets, and that will be done through Eventbrite. And when you click on this link, it will tell you how many tickets you have available to book. Next slide. We do have an awards brochure, so you'll be asked to review the brochure and see if you're happy with it before it actually gets printed. Your sections will be around 150 words, so with the finalists at the bottom of the page, just having a bit of an explanation about each finalist. And the deadline will be the 4th of March, so obviously we will give you plenty of time to be able to review it and let us know whether or not you are happy, and then that will be printed ready for the awards night. And finally, we have a raffle again this year. This year, JDE Banbury have chosen Catherine House Hospice, and as you can probably see on the poster, they specialise in palliative care for adults with life-limiting conditions, and that's across Oxfordshire and Northamptonshire, so a very good cause. Tickets will be £1 a strip, just as they were last year. And the winners will be announced after the award ceremony, so that people have the opportunity to go up on stage and choose their prizes. And just to say a massive thank you to everybody who have already sent me emails with the prizes that they are able to donate. Obviously, it's going to a very good cause. And last year, we managed to raise £566. Which was absolutely brilliant. So we are hoping to have a very successful raffle again this year.
Thank you, Sophie. And Sophie did a fantastic job last year, and is doing a fantastic job again today, because you're suffering with a bad throat this week, aren't you? So thank you for that. That's great. Thank you. And yeah, thank you for your support with everything for that. And yeah, great that we managed to raise so much money, and lots of other people won prizes as well, which was great, as well as the winners of the awards. So really, just to sum up then, the things that we're asking of you from today onwards. So we will send you that draft text. I know you've all sent through profiles and photos and logos already, which we've published on our website. This will be a short summary of that. We'd just like you to approve that, make sure you're happy with that, so that we can get the brochure underway. Again, your 3 finalists and your reserve to be with us by the 31st of March. So you'll have from this afternoon onwards to start visiting and speaking to your entrants. Again, just to reiterate, please let us know if you're struggling with any of that, we can support. Then the announcements will be made on the 20th of April. So again, we'd ask you to support those. Have to shout about your finalists, the sponsors. If you have finalists as employers, any of your apprentices, then please do shout about those, and we'll make a big fuss of them, the ones that have got through that far. And yeah, please do send us your logo and photo so that we've got that available if we don't already. I think I've got most people's, but if you haven't yet arranged payment for your sponsorship, I'll be chasing after you for that, just to get that arranged so that we've got all the money in place ready for paying for the event. As Sophie said, please do donate a raffle prize if you wish, in support of Catherine House Hospice. And then a bit nearer the time, obviously, we'll be asking who will be attending on the night, just to make sure, as Sophie said, we know who will be presenting so that we can prepare some slides to be shared on the night, and we know who to call up and who's going to be doing that on the night. And then finally, I will share these slides with you, but to reiterate again, Sarah and Tanya have very kindly offered to be there if you need some support and advice. Obviously, Oxlep, we administer the awards and we oversee the process, but Sarah and Tan are very much involved as committee members and sponsors, but happy to talk to you as an independent voice away from Oxlep to give you advice and support on that and any decisions, and let us know if there's anything that comes up that you're not sure about. Give us a shout and we can support, have a chat, answer questions. And then finally, just thank you very much once again for giving up your time. It's very exciting to have so many entrants, but we do appreciate that it's a lot of time, work and support from you to do this part of the process, and but hopefully very enjoyable as well. I think everybody who has been a sponsor before has found it very rewarding to meet the entrants and also to learn quite a bit about how different employers run their own apprenticeship schemes, what sorts of apprentices there are out there, what they're doing, where they work. And so hopefully you'll find it a very enjoyable and rewarding process to have an opportunity to speak to these amazing employers and individuals who have been nominated for the awards this year. So thank you. I will stop sharing the slides now. We've got sort of 5 minutes or so left of our time. Does anybody have any questions? It's been a bit of a whistle stop run through of all of that for you. Does anybody have any questions or something we haven't covered that you would like us to just go through now before we finish the meeting? So that sounds like a good silence. It's either a good silence because you know everything, or Jill's got a question.
It was just a quick question. So you said about the wording for the awards brochure by the 4th of March.
Yes.
It was just kind of, if you could let us know ASAP, because certainly our company tends to have to jump through a few hoops for these kind of things.
Okay, yeah, no problem, Jill. We'll get that across
Thank
to you in the next sort of day or so you can run that past the comms teams, and I'm sure others in the room are the same as well. So thank you, Jill, for pointing that out. We'll get that across to you as soon as we can, just so you've got time to agree that with anyone in comms that you need to. Thank you. Good, that's all good. Everybody seems happy. Okay, well, yes, as we said, that's a lot of information sort of to take on today. So if you think of anything after the meeting, please do drop us a line. We'll share the slides, we'll share the recording. And this afternoon, we'll be sharing your entries. So look forward to receiving those, and I hope you enjoy the process. We'll keep in touch. I think we probably will arrange another sponsor briefing. I'm not sure if we need one now for a little while, but I think certainly before the event itself happens, we'll arrange another one so that we can explain to you a bit more about the evening itself and what's going to happen. But please do give us a shout if you want to ask anything in the meantime. And thank you once again to so many of you for coming along today. Hopefully you found it useful.
Thanks, Mel.
Thank
Brilliant.
you.
Thanks, Mel.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you. Nice to
Take
see
care.
you. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Speak to you all soon. Bye.
Well,